If you're adventurous and love the outdoors, but can't stand driving a big bulky SUV, then Subaru Outback is the wagon for you. The Outback is rugged, roomy, a blast to drive, and can tackle just about anything. In 2020, the Outback was completely redesigned, and there are just a few minor changes for 2021. If you're interested, let's continue. I want to give a big shout out to the Autobahn Subaru in Countryside. They made this video possible, so if you're in the market for a brand new or used Subaru, then definitely check out this dealership. Their URL is on the screen and in the description below. After last year's redesign, the Outback was modernized but still has a familiar look. There's a lot of black cladding on the front bumper to give it a rugged feel, plus you don't have to worry about scratching the paint. This Onyx XT has a blackout grille as well. Besides the base trim, all other trim levels receive LED fog lights, and every Outback trim receives LED steering responsive headlights for 2021. The headlights will turn when you turn your steering wheel. The side profile of the Outback hasn't changed. It still looks like a long, low wagon. Just like the front bumper, there's a lot of black cladding around the wheel fenders and underneath the doors. There's also an enormous roof rack on top with crossbars that really stand out. This Onyx XT gets special black finish 18-inch wheels. Other trims get either 17 or 18-inch aluminum wheels. The back of the Outback has a spoiler, large privacy glass, a ton more cladding basically covering the entire rear bumper, and smoked LED taillights. The badges are also all blacked out for the Onyx XT. The trunk space in the Outback is massive and rivals many of the midsize SUVs on the market. There are a lot of things going on the side, starting with a 12V outlet over here. Then there is a handle to fold down the second row. Here is a pop-out hook. And then there's a ton of these tie-down rings on both sides. And you do have another pop-out hook, some empty space on the bottom, a netted space there. And that's pretty much it. Now moving underneath reveals the spare tire and tools. This Onyx XT has a full spare. Now, let's talk about this privacy cover. It pulls out and locks in a normal position like all other cars. However, on this Outback, there is a second position to lock into. This makes it so much easier to hide larger and taller items underneath. So the second row to this Outback is certainly impressive. Let's start with space. There's so much space back here. I'm 5'10". There's plenty of legroom and headroom. And also in terms of width, 2 adults, 3 kids, absolutely no problems. And speaking of kids, if you guys are worried about car seats, in terms of car latches, there's one set on this side, one set on that side, and you get one extra one in the middle, which is really unique. Now, in terms of these seats, they're nice and big, well cushioned, very comfortable, and the back can be adjusted. You can lean forwards and backward, which is really nice. And in terms of this cover that looks like leather, it's really not, because this is the Onyx XT edition. Subaru fitted this with a material called StarTex, which more or less is like pleather. It kind of looks like it. It looks nice. It actually feels pretty nice. But the main benefit is it's really easy to clean. If you spill things, water, juice, milk, or dirt, whatever, it's actually really easy to clean. It's water resistant. Now, what about amenities? Well, you get some back here too. You get a pair of vents over here. You get heated seats, which is a surprise. And you get 2 USB ports. So overall, it's very impressive back here in the second row. The other new addition for the 2021 Outback is rear seat reminder system, which alerts you to check the rear seats when exiting.
All right, moving on to the front. Starting with these seats, they actually look very sporty to me. You could definitely tell good contours and nice bolstering on the side, so they will hold you in, and that's a surprise for an Outback. But I'm gonna let you guys know how comfortable these are once I start driving. This is actually a really good looking steering wheel in my opinion. You got some nice aluminum trim that's going around, right? And overall design just looks modern. I like it. Now as for the buttons, this is controlling the adaptive cruise control, which comes part of EyeSight, and that's standard across all Subarus. That's really nice. Eyesight has more features, but one of the features is adaptive cruise control. And over here, this is volume, source, voice control. There's a few other things. All right, so let's take a look at this and the little menu in the gauge cluster. So right now, this is just showing miles per hour and your fuel economy. But then you can go up, time, outside temperature. Here's radio, nothing. You got a compass, which is really important in Outback. Your TPMS. And then take a look at the rest. I mean, these are clearly analog, a big tach, and then also your miles per hour here and fuel. But of course, you can see a digital version of it over there as well. Now moving down here, this is for the power tailgate. This is a dimmer. You can turn the power tailgate off over here. And this is pretty standard mirror and window control. Although, take a look, it's auto up and down on all the windows. Moving on to this massive and really good looking infotainment system. This is part of the navigation package, which is optional. And this one, this Onyx XT that I'm reviewing, does have it. This is the hazard light, volume, right, to turn on or off the radio. This is for front defroster. You can manually change the temperature up or down on both sides, right? And I like the fact that there are physical buttons for this, because I'm going to show you most of it's controlled through touch, and some of you guys may not like that. But here, heated windows and defroster. This is for radio tuning, okay? So those are the physical buttons. So there are not that many, and that's actually a good thing, because you don't want this to be cluttered with a lot of stuff. You got navigation, radio, phone apps, you got a whole bunch of stuff. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto are standard, no worries, right? And then you can scroll to the side like so, add shortcuts, kind of works like your phone. I will say the interface is a little bit laggy, not the most responsive interface. Of course, on top gives you the essentials, what radio, outside temperature, time, all that good stuff. Now, this is kind of like the home button. So if you're in something and you want to get out, let's say navigation, and you're like, oh, how do I get out? Just hit the home button and there you go. Now, X mode is interesting because only the XT models get this, and this Onyx XT does. So basically, more traction control settings. So right now you have normal, but there's one for snow and dirt and one for deep snow and mud. So if you ever find yourself in deep snow or deep mud, you need to get yourself out, you could select it. Now, of course, this Subaru and all the other Subarus come standard with the symmetric all-wheel drive system, which is already phenomenal, but this just adds a whole other layer to it. What about driver assistance? This is some of the safety features that you get standard with eyesight. Pre-collision braking, right? It utilizes these two cameras up here to see what's going on in front of you. It will warn you, it will auto brake for you, and it also looks at the lanes. So if you're trying to swerve out or you are swerving out, it will tell you, right? Take a look. Warning buzzer only, and then you can actually have that turned off, prevention function only, or all functions. So right now it's just warning you, but if you want it to take action, you could just do all functions like that, and it'll keep you in the lanes. And finally, you have BSD and RCTA, and that is blind spot detection and rear cross traffic alert. Now, this is integrated with the climate control, so you notice that there's really no climate control over here other than what's down here. So I told you about these physical buttons. If you didn't want to use that, simply tap on your side, and then you can see you could go up or down, right? So this is what I was talking about. This reminds me a lot of the Volvo infotainment system. It works the same way. To sync, and then if you want to turn on your heated seats, that's how you would do so, right? There you go. So that's how you could set it on both sides, right? I'm going to turn the heated seats off because I do not want my seats heated right now. And you could do so on the passenger side as well. You do get dual climate zones in here, not tri, so only left and right side. Now, if you didn't want to mess with any of that, you could simply go here, right? And this is where you can go max AC, full auto, and then you can change it manually, fan speed, and all that good stuff if you wanted to. It seems like this closes pretty quick. So a couple times I'm showing you guys, it just kind of closed. So that may get annoying. Now, down here, this is the electronic parking. You got two more USB ports over there. You get wireless charging over here. It's actually pretty deep, so you could fit your phone there. Moving on, this is a normal shifter, thank God. So nothing to relearn. The only thing you have to worry about is if you want to go into manual, go down and then go over. That is it. Down here, two large, very large cup holders, and this pops out. That's pretty unique. And take a look at the armrest. So you got a couple stages. The first stage is this, very shallow for pens or maybe credit cards, business cards, whatever. But you can see there's two ways to open this. And then the other way is this. And then you got another 12 yellow here, more space. So I'm a fan. I'm a fan of these dual setups, although sometimes you got to remember which one opens what. Up here, you got the SOS button, the info button, and you got a sunroof. Unfortunately, it's just a regular size one. It is not panoramic, but at least it does let some light in, and that's always good. The rear view mirror, nice and big. You got a compass over here, and you got some home link buttons down here as well.
As for engines, there are two to choose from. The base is a 2.5 liter boxer engine producing 182 horsepower. But the exciting one is the optional 2.4 liter turbocharged boxer engine producing 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque. That is equipped in this Onyx XT. Both engines are mated to a CVT transmission that is simulating an 8-speed automatic.
All right, let's go for a drive and see how this Outback behaves on the roads. So first impression is, just from a seating position, I feel like this is on the same level as maybe a compact or subcompact SUV. It's certainly higher than a regular sedan, but it's not as high as some of the taller SUVs or crossovers. So it's actually a good mix. It's a good mix. But in terms of ground clearance, it's pretty good. 8.7 inches of ground clearance. So if you guys want to go over some rocks or curbs or whatever you may want to tackle, you got a good amount of ground clearance. Now, sound insulation has improved in this Outback for this new model, and I can certainly hear it. Because right now, going around 40 miles per hour on the local roads, I don't really hear anything. No road noise. I don't hear the cars going by me. The only thing I hear is the engine when I floor it. When I step on it a little bit, I do hear the engine, but overall, this is a very quiet ride, and that's really nice. Oh yeah. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. I would say I felt a little bit of loss in power after it was shifting from, I believe, second to third. So I did feel that. I think because once it shifted, it was out of the power band. So I did feel a slight loss in power. But overall, this is a torquey engine. It does get up to speed relatively quick. 0 to 60 comes pretty quick. So this is definitely a really good engine. This is the same engine that's used in the new Ascent. Overall, this is a really comfortable ride right now. I like these seats too. Because of the big bolsters on the seat backs, I feel like they're hugging me in. This material, this StarTex material, if you feel it, it feels kind of glossy. It feels like you're going to slide around, but because of the bolsters in the back, I'm not sliding around, and overall, it's very comfortable. These are comfortable seats in this driving position. Pretty good. Now, visibility also good. Big windshield, big side windows, and even a big rear window. None of that is a problem. So visibility is really good. I find the suspension to be pretty soft too, in a good way. Now, I haven't taken any hard corners, but I hit a few bumps. Pretty aggressive bumps, and I feel like the Outback is just soaking it in. So I feel like the suspension is soft, but in a good way. All right, I just went into manual, downshifted to second gear. Oh yeah. that slight power loss, that slight lag I mentioned doesn't exist in manual mode. Now, I mentioned about the engine auto stop feature, and that comes into play when you come at a stop and the engine shuts off to save on fuel. Now, this engine, I will say, because it's a boxer designed engine. It is a little bit loud at idle, and when you're outside the car, you turn it up, it sounds a little loud. And when you floor it, it's a little bit loud. So because of that, I find when the engine deactivates and it starts, you could definitely hear it. And I feel like the lag is a little bit more than some of the other cars. So that is something that I always turn off because I'm just not a fan of it. The steering wheel actually feels really great too. It's the right thickness. I know that sounds funny, but I've driven a lot of cars now that has a really thick steering wheel where it doesn't belong, or a really thin one that feels cheap. This is neither. This is a right size, and this cover, I don't know if this is a StarTex cover or leather cover, but it actually feels nice in my hands. And I like how direct this is. This is actually a direct steering wheel. I mean, the feel is very direct. I don't feel like it's too light. I feel like there's not a lot of play in the steering wheel, which is also good. So overall, this is a pretty good steering wheel. What's interesting is the safety features for eyesight is displayed on the heads-up display. So normally, as I'm driving right now, I don't see anything appear, not like a traditional heads-up display where, you know, it shows you the miles per hour, the RPM. No, this is where if it senses like a collision, it has to step in. If you're swerving off, it'll actually display on the windshield for you, and that's really unique. That's really unique.
As for pricing, the 2021 Subaru Outback starts at $26,800. This includes eyesight and symmetrical all-wheel drive, both standard. Next, you have the Premium, Limited, and then Touring. All these have the base 2.5-liter engine. If you are looking for more power, then you have to select one of the XT trims. For example, the Onyx XT, which is the one I'm reviewing, and it starts at $35,145. There is only one package you can add on, and it includes a moonroof, the huge infotainment Starlink system, and reverse auto braking for $1,850. Next, you have the Limited XT, and finally the Touring XT, which tops out right under $40,000. To conclude, the Outback has a rugged and wagon look that is unmistakable and continues to be one of the best-selling wagons to date. The interior is bigger than you expect, and that goes for the trunk too. The huge infotainment screen makes the dash pop out, and so do the different layers and different color stitching. The symmetrical all-wheel drive is standard and one of the best all-wheel drive systems out there, and this Onyx XT also gets the special X mode. The Outback drives well, feels lively with the 2.4-liter turbo engine, and has enough ground clearance to get you to where you want to go. Some negatives include the engine being loud upon startup and acceleration. The huge touchscreen can be laggy at times, and touch climate controls is not for everyone. Lastly, the CVT transmission has trouble simulating shifts under full throttle. I'm giving the brand new 2021 Subaru Outback a score of 93. To see how it ranks among its peers, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Thanks for watching, hit the like and subscribe to the channel for more reviews, first looks, and news.